Hello folks, in this video we're going to talk about EDC, or everyday carry, which a lot of you refer to it as. Pretty popular terminology. It's been around for a pretty long time. We'll talk about a few things. I don't really carry very much on me as far as everyday carry goes. There are a few items that I keep on my person, but various items you'll see out in front of here. These are different options. These aren't things that I would carry on my person. It really depends on what I'm doing. You know, if I'm working as a government contractor, working as a mountain guide, something like that. But we'll go through a few of these items. So first thing, car keys. I have a quick carabiner style on here. It's not a rated carabiner or load bearing. I could probably rip it apart with my fingers if I really tried. It's not a cheap carabiner like you do see, like some of these carabiners you see in a lot of places. These are really cheap. You could actually break these with your fingers, but this one's probably could hold 100 pounds or so. But car keys, I like to have a carabiner on there so I can clip it inside my backpack if I'm working on some type of project. Or if I need to clip it on my side, as long as the genuinely isn't comprehensive to the project or a mission that I may be working on. So car keys. Some other items. Watches. I have a few different options here. I'm not a big fan of things around my wrist as far as bracelets go. So I do like to carry a watch, though. I almost always wear a watch unless I'm home. I have a few different, or a couple different ones here. These are your standard GPS type watches. This is, what is this? This is an older one, Sportline Cardio. There's a few different options here. These aren't good for a classified type environment, because if it has any type of GPS capabilities, but it's a pretty decent watch, fairly rigid. I wore this one maybe like 10 years ago or so. This watch here, both of these are the Timex Expedition. I really like this watch. This one I got in the late 2000s is when I started volunteering as an EMT with South Aberdeen, which is Bayshore EMS now. But I got this one then. It does have a glass face on it, so I'm not a big fan of that part about it, but everything else about the watch is great. This one no longer works, but I still keep it just for nostalgic purposes. Great watch. This is the newer one. I think this is the 2021 model. Has a light on it for for night visibility as far as the time goes. Great watch. The only thing that's bad about it, again, is it's got a glass face on it. I'm not a big fan of glass faces, but everything else about this watch, I do like it. It has dual strapping points on it. One's stationary and one has some mobility on it, so I can adjust the strap as needed on here. And then this on here, this is a button compass that I clip on there. Here's it in the package. This is the Sunto Clipper. I use this for various different type of operations. I use this when I'm guiding. It clips onto the side of compass or maps really well. Backpack straps, sternum straps, whatever strap you need. I keep it on my watch. Works out great for me. And again, these watches can be used in a classified environment too if you're working as a contractor, if you're concerned about OPSEC or operational security. And since we're talking about compasses, this is a Silva. This isn't a button compass. I forget what they call these type of compasses, but it has a pretty strong lashing method. It's got a cheap carabiner there, but it'll work, because what are you using the carabiners for? Just to clip onto your person in some way, whether it's on a hip belt, your kit, your harness, or something like that. What I like about this compass is it has this pretty elastic rubber, and the compass can pop out, and I can use it as in conjunction with a map. So it's pretty good there. You can see through it fairly well. I like that option. This one I bring with me usually when I'm canyoneering or working. It's part of my 10 essentials. So if I don't need a base plate compass for some reason, I usually carry that one with me. Some other options, business cards. I'm a big fan of paper business cards. I know I got to get rid of these suckers, but I still keep a few on me, usually about a dozen or so. I do need to get a digital card. I've been talking with a few friends about that. Paracord. Again, I'm not a fan of things around my wrist with the exception of a watch. Most people are used to paracord in this fashion. 550 paracord has some dynamic properties. It's been a part of everyday carry for a pretty long time. These are bracelets that are made out of paracord. And again, since it has dynamic properties, you can stretch it so it comes out thin like that, or you can just keep it in its normal form and it looks like that on a bracelet. I'm not a big fan of that. But these do come in handy, paracord. And they make them to where they have a lot of options in the bracelet now. So the hasp or the clasp here, it'll have a button compass on it. It may have a small little, not a howler whistle, but it's a fairly decent whistle, kind of like the one that you see, the whistles you see on a lot of the sternum straps on backpacks in the buckle. You know, it's not a high decibel whistle. It's not marine or maritime related in any way. It's probably like 20 to 50 decibels at the most. It's definitely not maritime rated, I believe, is 125 decibels. But we like whistles at work that are ranging from 80 to 125 decibels. But it's a whistle, so it'll definitely make some noise for you to be heard. And then also, so there's a button compass. Some of them have knives in them, a small like number 10 scalpel. There's various things. Some of them have snare wire and fishing line incorporated into the paracord inside the sheath. Paracord is Kermental, so it has a core and then a sheath on it, or this type of paracord. So that's another cool option. A pen. I don't normally carry a pen on me, depending on what I'm doing. If I need to take notes for some type of interview or something like that, depends on the call. This is the Zebra F301. I like this pen. I've been using these pens for probably 15 years now at work. In various different disciplines and career paths that I work in, all relating around my job as a mountain guide. So this is a great pen, or you can use a Right in the Rain option. I like the fact that it's really short and small. It can come apart, so I can use it for other options too if I need to. So it's a pretty great pen for that matter. I have a few of these. Really cool option. For knives, I normally carry this one right here. This is an EMS style knife. I like this. It's a small teardrop shape. I forget the actual terminology for the shape of that knife. But it's pretty good. It has a pretty strong back part of the blade on there. It's nice. Has some ergonomic features on the knife too that I like. Really sharp, strong. It has serrated there. It has a thin blade there. The clasp on it, pretty strong. It's a pretty malleable metal, but it's definitely been taking a beating. I have a lanyard on there, so with some accessory cord, if I have to lash it to my harness or my kit, depending on what I'm doing, or I can just use this plastic hasp and stick it into one of my pockets. This is another option here. When I worked as an arborist, I used to wear this one, or keep this one with me. I kept this one lashed with some high-vis cord. This cord has a tracer in it where it's reflective to any type of light, so it's pretty nice. This one's really sharp. I like the shape of this. It can cut through rope really quickly, and that was really the only reason why I had it, if I needed to egress a tree canopy or something, so I needed a pretty sharp knife. But as far as what I do as a mountain guide, which I've been doing for well over 12, 13 years, I like this EMS style knife. This one I bring with me, usually maybe canyoneering, waterfall rappelling, things like that when we're working. It's a little Lansky knife. I like this one. It has a back clasp here, so I don't have to deal with my hand in here, and it's not going to compromise the closure of the blade in any way or compromise my finger and slice me open in some way. And it's got a pretty strong attaching or lashing point that has an axle down the middle there, so it's pretty strong. And then these are your standard pocket knives. I just wanted to show this one. I don't carry these. These used to be part of EDC for years. Can opener options. There's a few of these. I don't like these because they're bulky. The knives are never sharp. They don't cut anything. I don't care what company you have. There's scissors in these. If this is something you carry, that's great. I don't need screwdrivers and corkscrews with me and can openers and things like that. So I don't really carry this, but it's a good option if that works for you. This is a multi-tool. I bring this one with me for survival classes, backpacking on government contracted operations. This is a great one. My father got me this one a really long time ago. It's really nice tool. I think this is the Flare. I forget the name of it. Yeah, Flare. It says it right there. I know it's probably changed. The only thing that's odd is here is the corkscrew and the can opener. I'm just not a big fan of those. I don't really need to use those, but everything else is great, especially if you're working in on a multi-day project or operation. So these are really good for that. They do have some shimmer to them, so depending on the type of operation you're working on, that may compromise there, so you might want to get something that's not high-vis or has any type of reflective properties to it. This is stainless steel. Some other options here. Oh, we'll talk about illumination. I have a few options here. This one seems to be the most popular. This is the gear light. There's a few different types of these. Quick button top compass or ignition there. has a small lanyard that's fairly strong. On the end of here, it has this, I think this is developed for, not military, but like federal law enforcement, and now it's worked its way into, state, county, and municipal law enforcement and everyday carry, but it's more of a weapon. So it has these sharp ridges that'll do some pretty extensive damage to people, especially if you hit them in their cranium or their skull. On the end, it has that globe-style reflective system going on there with a square LED bulb. These are pretty popular. I think they're called like tack lights. And it has this small stow thing. I don't wear this. It does have a belt loop. Looking at the lashing on a lot of these holsters, they just don't look very strong. I'm not a big fan of anything that's stitched across like that. It's pretty poor quality. I've yet to see one that is good quality. So just keep that in mind if you're going to, especially if you're going to put this on kit in any way. You might want to look for some type of MOLLE attached method. Some other types of illumination. This one I bring with me when I'm canyoneering. It's LED. I don't really need a lot of depth or throw when I'm working in a canyon environment. We just don't need that for the operations that we work in. LED is really bright. The lumens are so high, people are drawn to it for that. But as far as depth goes and for the light to pass through things in a wilderness context, it just doesn't happen. And anybody in search and rescue or mountain rescue will tell you the same thing. It just doesn't, once it hits an object, the light just, it's really bad to see past it. They're just too bright for a wilderness environment. You want something that's dimmer. Bigger lumens doesn't mean you're going to find somebody in the wilderness. You want lower lumens so you can see past visual obstructions in that environment. But again, this light, it's fairly decent. It has a small globe-style bulb on there. It has a pretty elastic. Next thing on the list here is going to be wallets. This is a really cheap one. This is Travelambo or something like that. I don't know. I got this. I had to travel for a project, so I got this one. It was really sleek. A couple card options. Not a big fan of it. The stitching doesn't look very good, but it worked for that day. But just to show you how thin and minimalist some of these are. This one I really like. This is the thread minimalist. This one's really great. Has a couple card options there. It's made out of leather. The stitching looks really strong and good on this one. Haven't had any issues with it yet. This is really great feature on it. It's got some elastic properties here, so I can put multiple cards or things in there. And then on the outside, it has an option, an area for an identification. So great tool there. These sunglass lanyards or glasses lanyards, these are really great. I've had this specific one for over 20 years. This one's really great. I like and this still hasn't worn down. This is Chums. This hasn't degraded in any way as far as UV degradation goes, but I like it. It's really nice. And then I'm not sure what type of rubber this is or quality of rubber, but I never had an issue with it going over. It's never split or cracked in any way. Really great tool there if that works for you. Hat. I like to wear a baseball hat with a large brim on it. Curled, block some sun out of my peripheral and my vision there, but I do like that for various reasons. Sun protection, security. Sunglasses. I usually have sunglasses on now, especially when you're working on specific projects. We keep our eyes covered for various things, but really great sunglasses. I like these. Part of everyday carry. Not a big fan of photos either, so I like to carry these on me. And some other options. We'll talk about a few options. Not necessarily EDC or everyday carry, but personal survival kits. These are really nice. If you don't carry a backpack with you in a wilderness setting, PSKs or personal survival kits are a great tool. I'll go over this specific kit in our 10 Essentials video that I'm going to film shortly, but it has some really great options on it. I like this kit. A personal survival kit should be on your person, whether it's in a cargo pocket, on your kit, on your harness, wherever it may be. The whole purpose of it is if you get separated from your equipment, you have this small option here to make things a little more comfortable for you. Normally in my packs, as far as 10 Essentials go, I keep a lot of stuff in this little bag here. This works out great for me. And then some other options, depending on what I'm working on. I like this one. This is a Write in the Rain notepad. I usually have a pad with me depending on what I'm doing, depending on the project. So this is a great tool, or whichever one works for you. And then since we're talking about everyday carry, we're going to talk about belts as well. This is a fairly decent belt. This belt's really good if you're wearing some type of kit. If you're working with law enforcement, military, this one's nice. It has the hook and loop fashion. The closure method's fairly decent on it, and then it lashes through. This one's nice. It's about, I think this one's 1.5 inches or 1.5 inches. This one's pretty strong, but you can put most kit on top of this one. This belt I wear a lot, this one here. I like the adjustability methods and lightning closures on them. These ones are great. Has this bar stock style there where I can lash it through and strap it back. It also has a small attachment point. It's not fully rated, so it's really not good for helo operations or you know, whether you're entering or egressing something. So, but you could use it for something like that. On the end, I like this taper here, so it fits through the belt loops a little better. This one's a little bit wider. I think this one's about 1 3/4 inches or 1 7/8 inches. I'm not positive, but I haven't had an issue with it going through any belts of mine. So this is a great option there. If I'm working on any type of helo operations and not in a guiding context, I like Cobra buckles on my belts. This belt's a little bit bigger. This is 2 inches or 1 15/16 inches. It's around there somewhere. This one's a fully rated, ANSI rated buckle, 22 KN. It has a D-ring on here, so you can use it for a helicopter retention lanyard or a helo retention lanyard or vehicle, depending on what you're doing, whether you're, you know, if you're whatever type of mechanism or travel device you may be egressing from. So this is great. Or traveling in, I like that. The only thing bad about these is Cobra buckles. If you're not in some type of travel mode, like, you know, a helicopter or a vehicle in some way, and you are on a project or something where noise is a problem, Cobra buckles are really loud. You can work with them to make them not so loud, but the metal type, they're just really loud belts. And if you happen to slip your fingers off of these, so they're great they have their place. It really depends on your mission parameters, but you want to be cautious if you're using them for something like that. But really great tool. So I wear this one on various different types of projects. But again, this is my go-to choice belt. I believe that is everything on my list here. If you guys have any questions, visit us on the web, nmgadventures.com. Thanks.